Yes, the Jordan Poole trade is old news at this point, and yes, the Warriors feel like they are better off without him, and Poole probably feels that he's better off as a solo act in DC, but I've seen video after video, and person after person talking about this trade and why it happened. But no one has yet to come to realize the harsh truth behind it all and what the NBA is trying to hide. Today, I'm going to be highlighting the 3 pieces on what really led to this trade and why they all have been lying to you about how it really happened. What's going on, fellas? I'm glad you clicked on this video, and now that I've got your attention, there's something about Jordan Poole we were not previously realizing. Being a rising star on a team with proven superstars is hard, especially when you have the Splash Brothers in line already ahead of you. See, most people want to chalk things up to Poole versus the rest of the Warriors, that he didn't want to work harder, that he wanted more of a spotlight when that obviously wasn't going to happen just yet. But was it entirely right for us to go at Poole the way we did when 99% of other players in his position probably would have acted the same? Poole was scoring in bunches. He had one of the best playoff debuts in recent NBA history. His name was becoming iconic because of the baddies meme. He was enjoying all sorts of early success, especially for someone as an ex-G Leaguer and a late first-round pick. And he got the biggest payoff that every young guy dreams of. But here's the biggest thing that sent Jordan Poole down the literal drain with the Warriors. He wanted to be the man. That guy who takes his 25 shots a night, can shoot it whenever he wants and from wherever he wants. What I mean is, Jordan Poole wanted the same treatment from the Warriors as Steph Curry gets, or what is known as the superstar treatment. When Poole was traded to the Wizards, he said something in an interview that I think not too many people caught up on, or understood what he truly meant. When Poole was asked about his time on the Warriors, he said, "I think I take pride in being able to adapt to whatever situation, whatever role." If you really try and read between the lines of what he was trying to say, what he really meant was that he adjusted to fit his role on a team of proven stars and still shine bright. Hey, I played my tail off and got the contract to back it up. But where the problem was is when Poole thought he was making adjustments for himself for the betterment of the team, but still wasn't treated like a superstar on the team. This begins to connect the dots with why Poole's mood would always fluctuate and why he'd sometimes have an attitude over his minutes or criticism he'd catch for taking certain ill-advised shots. As someone who's watched the Warriors and their dynasty unfold over the last decade, I've got to admit, Jordan Poole was an extremely rare case for them because this was the first time they dealt with a player who had an ego as volatile as Poole's. This organization has always been an embodiment of sacrifice, teamwork, and ball movement. And well, the harsh truth is, Poole just didn't fit that bill, or at least he wasn't willing to. But then again, from my perspective, the Warriors stood by Poole, even after his lowest moments, like when he was crushed by the world for taking that controversial deep three-pointer at the end of Game 1 versus the Lakers. Steve Kerr stood by Poole and his shot and simply told the media after the game, "It was great for us," when we know he didn't really feel that way. And the thing is, a lot of the Warriors never used these opportunities to bash Poole in the media or paint him as the problem in the organization, even though all signs constantly pointed to everyone in Golden State growing sick and tired of him, which we'll touch on more in a little bit. This brings us to the second piece of the video. We were fooled into thinking that the problem was all about Jordan Poole versus Draymond Green. Listen, I'm never going to take sides in a petty little fight, or even a big fight, because this was a pretty big one given the circumstances. But the thing is, the media took this moment and somehow found ways to talk about it and bring in more information as the year went on for the Warriors, which played a significant role in hurting the team's chances to move further. But anytime you are defending champions and something of magnitude happens like a punch before the season even starts, people can't help but talk and ask more questions. We know by now that the Warriors have publicly acknowledged multiple times how bad this fight was for the team. From Steve Kerr to Steph to Draymond, Poole, Clay, literally all of them. But what people were missing about this all is that it really just didn't boil down to Jordan Poole having a huge issue with Draymond or vice versa. The truth is, all the key names on the roster were bothered by Jordan Poole in some way or another. Yes, that included Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and even a veteran leader like Andre Iguodala. But let me clear the air on one important thing first. Steph Curry is arguably the best leader in all of the NBA, from leading by example to giving his guys tough love on the court. Steph's leadership isn't giving enough recognition. So, I don't think it was even fair to criticize Steph for not being able to galvanize the troops after an incident like that. Heck, we should give the man his flowers for dragging a team with the worst record in basketball, a young guy with an ego in Poole, a hothead like Draymond, to a Game 6 against the highest-rated defensive team in basketball. Not to mention that Steph missed a chunk of the season with a shoulder injury. But let's face it, from what we saw from Steph and the other Warriors last season versus the championship season, you can't tell me there wasn't a big difference in the way they would address Jordan Poole in front of the media or how they vibed with him on the court. Yes, they all said the right things and bagged JP anytime he'd do something boneheaded. But how many times did we see Steph taking issue with Poole's decision-making on the court? And then, how do you think someone like Klay Thompson must have felt about Jordan Poole trying to leapfrog to become 1A to Steph's 1 when Klay's out here thinking that I've been through wars and put up historic performances before you even got here, bro? As a matter of fact, some rumors swirled that Klay had issues with the volume of shots Poole was taking. But that isn't really that surprising, is it? When you're arguably the second greatest shooter in the history of basketball, you had the right to feel some type of way. But speaking of feeling some type of way, the Warriors felt one big thing at the end of the day, which is the third and final piece of this video. The Warriors knew Jordan Poole's future wasn't going to be in Golden State. The Warriors have literally been the pinnacle of domination for so many years. At one point, it felt like they could do no wrong and would continue to stack the cards in their favor. But after all these mighty years for the Warriors, they finally messed up, and even they knew it. Hey, so what? One bad decision in like 10 years. Big deal, all right? Seriously. The Warriors understood not long after the season started last year that they were dead solid wrong in giving Jordan Poole such a big contract after his breakout season. I get it. The NBA is a place where young superstar talent is the ultimate prize. Teams nowadays are so desperate to find that new franchise cornerstone that can will them to victory for years and years to come, and the Warriors realizing that their core is getting older and slower, and with Steph heading towards his mid to late 30s, perhaps Jordan Poole was the guy to lift the franchise in the post-Steph Curry era. At least that's what the Warriors thought at one point. But instead, they gave the already overly confident Jordan Poole more fuel to his ego by giving him the money that made him feel like he was the center of their world now. But in the Warriors' defense, they were in a tough spot if we circle back to roughly one summer ago when they were faced with the dilemma of which players to extend now and which players to extend later. And the first in line was Jordan Poole because the Warriors had to offer Jordan Poole a contract extension by October 17th of last year in order to prevent him from entering unrestricted free agency in 2023. Above all, the Warriors didn't want to take the risk of Jordan Poole coming out and having another great season and other teams offering him much bigger contracts that the Warriors weren't going to be able to match with their payroll influx. So I can't really fault the Warriors too much. Some things are just meant to be, really. And then again, it was maybe the issue of contracts that gave Jordan Poole that extra bit of adrenaline to smack talk Draymond before getting punched. And well, Jordan Poole getting the big bag over Draymond might have given Draymond that extra boost to go over and sock Poole in the face. Am I right? We're now firmly looking ahead to 2024 for both the Warriors and Poole. Once a great pairing, now perhaps they were better off without each other all along. But I felt that people had a huge misconception about this trade, why it went down the whole 9 yards. Now you've been enlightened with the truth. So drop your final thoughts on all of the above down below and tell me how you feel about this situation and whose side you're on, Poole's or the Warriors.